How about compost teas? That's another thing that people use when they're growing organically. If they kind of want to have a little boost to the microbial population, for example, and help with the amendment breakdown, do you utilize compost teas at all?
Yes, for sure. I actually got that idea from Mr. Canucks Grow. I think anybody that's does what we do, watched him. He hasn't put out a video in a while. Shout out to him. I hope he's coming back. But um, compost teas are super simple to do. I just use an air pump, and I'm using for my entire grow. I'm using reverse osmosis water. I don't know if that makes a difference to a lot of you guys, but I don't use the tap water anymore. I haven't done that in a long time. The reason why is because with tap water, there's other things in it besides water. I'd rather have reverse osmosis water that's already filtered. And that way, if you're doing synthetic, then you can add whatever you want to add to it. But for me, I'm not adding anything to it. We just want the water itself. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. What was the question again?
It was about compost teas. If you can kind of break down how you do them.
Compost teas, the simple recipe is worm castings, and then you also need some type of sugar. And I told you use blackstrap molasses. I use blackstrap molasses, so that's my sugar that I use for the compost tea. And then I have used a little bone meal in there before, or alfalfa I've used before as well. But usually, the compost tea and the blackstrap molasses, you can get away with just that by itself. You can make compost teas for veg. You can make compost teas for flour. Depending on where you are in the grow, you can use that same 444, 484, down to earth, Gaia Green, whatever dry amendments you guys are using. You can use those same dry amendments and worm castings to make your compost tea. You just need a bucket, air pump, super simple.
Are you doing like a 5-gallon bucket?
Exactly, 5-gallon bucket. And what's so great about compost teas is you can really spread it out. You can put them in other buckets and then thin them out and use them because they're super strong. You can water it down. So if you're doing a lot of plants like I used to do, I had 15, 16 tents in one house. Obviously, you can't do but so many 5-gallon buckets. So you can actually thin it out, and a little bit goes a long way. Compost teas.
Is it usually do you fill up the 5-gallon bucket like almost all the way, about 4 gallons worth, and then put 1 cup of worm castings? Is that what you do?
So the process that I do is I fill up the 5-gallon bucket. You want to leave a little space on the top because whenever the air pump starts going, it's going to start bubbling. So I leave a little bit of space. And then they have these it's basically like a strainer bag. And that's when I pour the worm castings in. It's usually 1 cup of worm castings. If I'm doing it for veg, then it's going to be 1 cup of the 444. And then as far as the blackstrap molasses, maybe 4 or 5. You can get away with 4 or 5 tablespoons. But honestly, guys, I'm putting like a 1/4 cup in there. Just pour it in there and stop. And after you do that, you put your air pump in there. I use an air pump with 4 lines, but 1 line is just fine. Turn it on high, and then I just cover it with a towel because it's going to be bubbling from the air. One thing that you guys are going to see is that you're going to see a lot of foam on the top of it. That's totally normal, and that's actually what you want. That's how you know everything's breaking down as it should. And so after 24 hours, you're good to go, and you can feed it to your plants.
This clip was brought to you by AC Infinity. Use discount code MrGrowIt15 to save on any of their gardening products.